everyone to Receiving Noor weekly Quranic wisdom study. We're continuing to study 19th word from Video Zaman Saeed Nursi's Risale-i Noor. And the reason is to recognize the significance of the Prophet ﷺ and his message. And we have been studying this text for a while and unpacking relevant key Quranic terms as we go along. And this week and next week will probably our final sessions on this text. Dr. Yamina leads us in the study. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Yamina. And you're welcome to join in with comments and questions during the discourse or after, towards the end. And also, I just want to know that these sessions are open to men and women. We tend to be mostly women, but it is open to men and women. I'm saying this because today we received an email where a brother was saying that they had a study circle on one of Receiving Noor books, and they were starting a second one. And I just felt like maybe it would be good to remind everyone that if you know people who are interested in this deep approach to Iman and the Quran, they being male or female doesn't really make a difference. They are most welcome. So without further delay, I return to Dr. Yamina. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you, Isra. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. May Allah's peace and blessings and His infinite mercy be upon you, upon all of us, especially in these blessed months. It's an opportunity, inshallah, to remember again the purpose of our life and the one who leads us, teaches us the purpose of our life and how to live in alignment with that purpose is the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, peace and blessings be upon him and upon all the messengers and prophets. And so as we are reading these reflections, we are learning what to focus in our life, so we will be following in the path of Muhammad ﷺ, the beloved of God. And so following that path means following the path of becoming aware of how loving and our maker, our sustainer, God is, and therefore becoming a mirror to his love and walking in the path of being more and more the beloved, inshallah. So today is the 13th droplet, inshallah. There is one more droplet, bi'idhnillah, inshallah, next week. And then, inshallah, it's Ramadan. So we start with the 13th droplet. Is anyone reading? Okay, Bismillah. So go ahead, please.
Yeah. Look at him, the honor of humanity, the unique of all creation, and the glory of the universe. Look how he stands on earth, with all the virtuous descendants of Adam behind him, raises his hands to the glorious throne, Arsh al-Adam, in prayer. What is he praying for? Look, listen, he's asking for eternal happiness. He's asking for eternity, baqa. He's asking for meeting with God, liqa. He's asking for paradise, and he's asking with all the sacred divine names whose beauty and decrees are manifest in the mirrors of beings. Indeed, even if what he is asking for was not already required by the mercy, grace, wisdom, justice, and so on, a single of that person's prayers would have been sufficient for the construction of paradise, the creation of which is as easy for divine power as the creation of the spring. Yes, just as his messengership, Risale, was the reason for the opening of this place of examination and trial, so too his being a worshipful servant of God, Ubudiyya, is the reason for the opening of the next world. Indeed, would the perfect order observed in the universe, this is going to be a long sentence with a tight logic here, so indeed, would the perfect order observed in the universe, which has caused scholars and the intelligent to pronounce, لَيْسَ فِي الْإِمْكَانِ أَبْدَعُ مِمَّا كَانَ. It's not possible for there to be anything better than what exists. And the faultless beauty of art within mercy, the incomparable beauty of sustainer-ship, Jamal Rububiyya. So would this allow the ugliness, the cruelty, the contradiction by hearing and responding to the least significant, the least important desires and voices with utmost care, but not hearing, not understanding, and not fulfilling the most necessary wishes? No way, 100,000 times impossible. Such a beauty would not permit such ugliness. It would not become ugly. And so, my imaginary friend, that is enough for now. We must return. For even if we remain 100 years in this age, in the Arabian Peninsula, we would not comprehend 1% of that person's wondrous accomplishments and wonderful duties, nor would we tire of watching him. Now come, as we journey forward in history, we will look at each century after him, see how each has opened like a flower through the effulgence it has received from that sun of guidance. They have produced millions of enlightened fruits, like Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i, Abu Bayaz Bastami, Shah Gailani, Jilani, Shah Naqshband, Imam Ghazali, Imam Rabbani. Postponing the details of our observations to another time, we must recite some benedictions for that displayer of miracles and bringer of guidance, which mention a number of his certain miracles. I'll pause here. Dr. Yamin, if you could continue from this.
Okay, we start from the beginning and come back to the prayer at the end, inshallah. So he's saying, look at him, look at this, the honor of humanity, the unique of all creation, the glory of the universe. What does it mean? It means whoever wants to follow this path, why is he the honor of humanity, the unique of all creation? It's because of his ubudiyya. Because his risala, his messengership was gifted to him because of his ubudiyya, because he's at the peak of worship. Let's just say ubudiyya, because when we say worship, it's understood as ibadah, but ubudiyya here is a way of being, so that everything you do is actually worship, not only the rituals.
Dr. Amina, this also reminds reminds me what we discussed earlier about how with his message, not only human beings come out of darkness to light, that they recognize that they are guests of the Creator and they're not just plaything of chance, but also the whole creation. Their meaning become apparent through his message. So they are also, in a way, proud and happy, if you will, that the Prophet is sent, because their true nature, as pointing,
the true value is being uncovered.
Yeah. It was mentioned, earlier here. The world itself becomes a book of a summit, eternally besought one's wisdom, instead of being meaningless, futile playthings of chance. So in that sense, he's the pride or honor of the whole creation.
At the same time, it means that the more we follow in this path, the more we will gain some of these qualities, because that's the position of human being. That's how human being is created, has been chosen, has the potential to be, has been honored, created in a way that he has the potential to be the representative, the Khalifa, the vicegerent of God on earth. And God teaches us how to fulfill this potential through this, following this path. Now, this path, he is the Prophet, and all the prophets are ahead in ubudiyah. They are the peak. The Prophet ﷺ is the peak, the apex of ubudiyah, means that he totally surrenders to the reality of being created. Being created means being totally made, totally owned, totally dependent on God giving life to us, existence to us, beingness here and now, always. So because he's totally aware of this reality, totally conscious of it, and he accepts it, because that's the reality. If you don't accept it, we're just deluding ourselves, and lives accordingly. So because we may know it as information, but we never really reflected on what it truly means, how does it feel, and what it entails. How does it change our life if we truly surrender to this reality? What does it mean to be truly created? And that way of being is symbolically represented in our state of prostration during the salat, as we saw when we studied the Surat al-Fatiha, and when we studied the wisdom of the 5 daily prayers, the salat. So in that state of sajda, of prostration, the I, the ego, the illusory I, is totally surrendered. It accepts that it is zero before the infinite, only one. And when we stand in the prayer, we stand in dignity as the represented, as the Khalifa of God, in his name, Bismillah, not in our name. Of course, in our state of ghafla, most of the time, we forget about that. And so we falsely assume that we exist on our own. And therefore, we want to stand in our own name, and we remember God from time to time, not systematically, But maybe when something happens and we are reminded of our total vulnerability, total powerlessness, then if we have the intention to surrender, then we remember and then forget again for a long time. But what the Prophet ﷺ teaches us, what is taught to us in the Quran, what the messengers were sent to teach us, is to how to live consistently with this awareness as much as possible, so that even if when we forget, we can remember quickly, so that the interval between forgetting and remembering starts shrinking, and we remember more often, more quickly, and we don't wait until months when something really brings out helplessness within us. So it's a training, it's a teaching that needs to be totally present. It's a choice to follow in this path. This path is not a path of learning information only, but it's a living path. It's a way of living in the world. And this way of living is accepting the reality. Any other way would be an illusion, following an illusion and being delusional, because any other way means that the I has some false assumption about itself. Anything like that negates ubudiyah. Because ubudiyah is, remember in the 18th word, before we started this 19th word, it ended with these two realms, the realm of ubudiyah that mirrors the realm of rububiyah. I can only truly appreciate and testify that my sustainer, my giver of life, the one who sustains my breathing here and now, my life, my everything, is the sustainer of all things, is Rabbul Alameen, is God, Allah. I can only testify and experience that to the extent that I am present here and now to what's going on, and I accept it and focus on it. This is the reality. And so that mirrors my acceptance of my ubudiyah. It means I'm being sustained, means there is a sustainer. It reflects and mirrors the sustainer with all his myriad beautiful names, beautiful attributes. And so this is the main thing that we are learning from the prophets. And what it means in practice is being unfolded from the first droplet to now. It's being, what does it mean to live with this? So here it starts with, what is he praying for? Because we are always in a state of praying. Praying means asking for something. Why do we ask? Even if we are not asking with words, we are asking through our way of being, through lisan al-hal. How? Because we only have needs. If we really pause and reflect, all we have are needs. And when we are trying to get something, all our activities are in order to fulfill some needs. And that activity is a kind of asking. We ask through action, through words, through state of being, through emotions, And so what is he praying for? What is he asking? He says, look, listen. He is asking for eternal happiness. Most people may not be aware, but everyone wants to be happy. And so everyone is very busy. Some want money, some want children, some want house, career, I don't know what kind of hobby. Everyone is busy with something, but even like walking or any activity, at the end of the day, underneath, everyone has that hope that this will bring me some happiness at different levels of consciousness, of awareness. Someone may really want to be happy or even happier, more and more joyful, and someone may be miserable and want to just not feel as miserable, but is still on the scale of wanting to be better. But eternal happiness, most of the time we're not aware of it. However, we are not aware that whatever we're looking for is, as we saw in the droplets before, is that the transience that is a constant in this worldly life, the impermanence of everything spoils anything we achieve or can achieve or imagine. Even in our imagination, it's enough to understand that whatever we achieve at the end of the day, because it is impermanent, because it is transient, then whatever fulfillment it brings won't last long, and therefore, like Ibrahim alayhi salam, la uhibbul afilin, there is in the heart that if we truly think about it, then we would give up before starting, unless we find the source of happiness, the door, the gate to, the source of eternity, the gate to eternal happiness, so eternal goodness, whatever we are seeking that we think will make us happy, and therefore we see as something good, cannot satisfy the human heart because of its impermanence. And so truly, the one who is truly conscious needs to ask for eternal happiness. We are not created for happiness, but for eternal happiness. This is something that we are taught. And once we are taught, we say, yes, like, how come I did not realize that? So we are created in a way that we recognize the truth and we can confirm it. He's asking for eternal happiness. This is the moment we focus on eternal happiness, it's going to change everything in your life. Even he's asking for eternity. Of course, they go together, eternal happiness for eternity. He's asking for the meeting with God, because this eternity is only through the connection with the eternal. He's asking for paradise. That is paradise. Anything that is not eternal cannot be paradise. Now, while he is asking, and he's asking with the sacred divine names, it's giving us the key. How do I ask for eternal happiness? Or how do I ask for meeting with God? How do I ask for paradise? I first need to learn how to ask with all the sacred divine names, whose beauty, these beautiful names and decrees, are manifest in the mirrors of beings. It means in the creation. I first need to see how everything is reflecting the beautiful names of God. And then I can ask with his beauty, his power, his wealth, his knowledge, or let's say divine knowledge. And so when we say divine knowledge, it is eternal knowledge, divine mercy, eternal mercy. So the connection to eternity is going to start here in this world, here and now, because we may usually, when we don't have this line that has the asking with or by means of the sacred, beautiful divine names whose beauty and decrees are manifest in the mirrors of beings, if this is missing, then there will be a permanent disconnect, a darkness. And so we will be saying, I'm praying for paradise, I'm praying for meeting with God for eternity, but there is a sense that one day after I die, it will happen. That's not asking. There is no trust in this asking. There is no iman in that asking, because it's just a hope. It's good. It's better than denying. It's at least being in touch with our fitra, because we have that need within us. But then the next step is taught to us in the Quran, that comes and is taught to us by the messenger. The teacher is the messenger of God, but we have no idea. So that's why the Quran is, at the most, we read it, at the most, because most people don't even read it all the time, maybe during Ramadan or something. But reading and or we study it. Yeah, studying it in order to understand, in order to reflect. How do we see, for instance, we are told in the Quran that wherever you turn, there is the countenance of God, there is the face of God. It means, as Imam Nursi, rahimahullah, says, the face of the aspect of things that look to God. It means the aspect of things that reflect the beautiful names of God, the eternal, sacred, beautiful, divine names. Once we find once we start seeing how everything is mirroring the beautiful names of God, then wherever we turn, wherever we look, we will see the face of God, we will remember God, we will get to know God better and better. And so nothing will make us forget our purpose in life or our destination. Nothing will make us forget that we are on a journey here and we are not here to stay forever. On the contrary, everything is reminding us, teaching us, and almost like helping us on the way, showing us the way. And it's like all these helpers on the way to get to know better who we are, who our host is, who our Rabb is, our sustainer is, and where we are going and how to get there in an easier way, in a beautiful, easy manner. So this sentence here is very important, because that's the way we are. What's paradise? Paradise is where divine rahmah is there, divine justice. All the beautiful names are manifest in a much more, in a clearer way than here, than in this world. And then we will start meeting God here. And of course, there it will be, there will be no veil of causes. But the veil of causes gets thinner and thinner in this world, to the extent that our ego gets also thinner and thinner. Means the more we let go of our delusional claims of ownership of I-ness, as if it exists on its own, independent of God, then the more we realize that we are also a conscious mirror of God, of the beautiful names of God. So whatever we see in us is also, actually, it is the best mirror. It is haqq al-yaqeen, like we can experience the reality of those names to the level of the certainty of experiencing it, because it's what I say is me. I realize that nothing is from me. It just came through me. I'm just a channel. I'm just a mirror. Things are coming through. They're not mine. It's just like life. Life is not mine. I have no control over it. I had no say on when it started, and I have no say on when it stops in this world and how it will carry on in the next. But I'm sure that there is an infinite source of life, and it is manifesting through me, through all living beings. Yes.
So Yamina, the liqa part, he's asking for the meeting with our creator. Initially, it kind of struck me because, baqa, asking for eternity, being bothered about everything passing, transience, that seems to be a bit clearer to me. I feel it in me. And whenever I talk about this to even like a group of young people, they immediately would say, I don't like transience, or like it's so sad, everything is passing. And so asking for eternity, or eternal happiness, that seems easier to relate to. But when I first read Meeting with God, I was like, is there such a yearning in me that's bringing out of me? And initially, actually, when I first read it, I was like, is this even a Quranic concept? Baqa, eternal happiness, fine, but is liqa? And then I remember there are actually passages that talk about meeting with God, and people who are in several verses. It talks about people who are denying the meeting with God. And then there's at least one verse that I have seen, but there may be more, that talk about people who look forward to the meeting with God, and those are the ones who are going to prosper. So, but the next sentence, as you have been unpacking, explaining who God is, or giving us a clue to who God is, the one to whom all the beautiful names belong, all these sacred divine names, all of which are beautiful: knowledge and justice and beauty and compassion and forgiveness and power and wisdom. All these absolute names belong to this one being, and the more we become aware of that, and the more we become certain of that there must be a being with all these endless beautiful qualities, the more our heart and soul will be excited, interested, wanting to meet this this being. So it is indeed a human need to meet the source of everything, to want to meet, whatever that means. I mean, it's not like meeting a person and shaking hands, of course, not like that at all. But there is something in human heart that yearns to meet the source of all beauty and power, and looks forward in a way.
In the 24th word, I mean, in many places, but in the 24th word, Imam Nursi, rahimahullah, he says that the love that you have for yourself, like we have a very strong attachment to I. I mean, we care about everyone around us, but at the end of the day, even the closest person, or like your child or something, and then if something happens at the end, you say, oh, enough of something, or like, how can you do this to me? We have like the bottom line is I. And he says all those things that you care about the I, you want to protect the I, my dignity, my this, everyone has a different need that is more prominent, is given to you not for your sake, because that's an illusion. There is no such thing as my thing, independent of on its own, as if, because that's how we imagine it when we live in ghafla. That has been given to you to find the true I, or in the beginning it's a he, the thou in Iyaka na'budu in Surat al-Fatiha, you but singular, which means like more intimate. So we do have that in us, that yearning, but we misuse it and squander it on an illusory I that we falsely assume is linked to this being here on earth, which even that being is misunderstood, because the more we are in ghafla, this being here is seen as the body, the mind, the thoughts, your achievement, or this or that. And we miss all the other. So we see only the tip of the iceberg, and the whole, the soul, the ruh, the infinite, this potential to know God with all his beautiful names that are eternal and if display in this world in infinite ways, all that is totally ignored. So because if we are not in ghafla and we identify with that, then that I will be different. It's a abd I that is a mirror to the true I, the God I. So we do have that, but it's more difficult to become aware of it, because there is a thick, the obstacle is that thick delusion that we need to work on slowly, but it's not like, don't say, usually we think, oh yeah, I need time. No, the companions of the Prophet, some of them didn't need time. So it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of yes or no. Do you want it or do you not want? And of course, a matter of building. In one time, you may experience something, but that experience would unfold if we add and renew the commitment to choose to let go of the delusion, to accept, which means actually we don't focus on letting go of the delusion, we focus more on accepting the reality. The more we accept the reality, the more we exercise our willpower to choose that, the more we start building. And as we are told in the Qudsi hadith, in the sacred hadith, if you take one step towards me, I'll come running towards you. The more we walk consistently in that path, the more divine mercy blesses that effort. So there is the miracle of barakah. So I was looking at when Isra said, you know, is there a liqa? And then she remembered that yes, in the Quran there is liqa. So now all the derivative of liqa, the verbs you meet and things is 106, but 24 of them, 24 times the word liqa, which means the verbal noun meeting, the ing form of meeting God, is in the Quran. So for instance, it says قَدْ خَسِرَ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِلِقَاءِ اللَّهِ.
Which verse is that? I can just pull it here, Yaminaja.
I wanted to look at another one. The one I wanted to look at is the 7:147, which is وَالَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا وَلِقَاءِ الْآخِرَةِ حَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ هُمْ يُجْزَوْنَ إِلَّا مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. But the one I'm saying first is 6:31. قَدْ خَسِرَ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِلِقَاءِ اللَّهِ. It means those who deny the meeting with God have lost. They are losers. And it says وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لَعَلَّهُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّهِمْ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Also in a positive one. So 7:147 is a negative one. Also 10:7 is a negative one. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا. This is very good. We can understand it more because that's what we do. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. This we can really relate to. 10:7. Can you see this ayah saying those who do not expect to meet God? God is speaking here. And they are وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. It's like they are pleased, they are content, they are happy with this, with the life of this world. What is the life of this world? It means this impermanent, transient. They are okay with it. وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. And they are like, okay, contented with it. So what does it mean that they don't expect the meeting with God? If I am busy with this life, totally like, I may pray, but the rest of the time, it's my focus. That's what it means. It's my focus. I have things to do, activities. I'm going, coming, very busy or slowly or whatever. It means I don't have a longing for something else. I am not focused on something else. My heart is not yearning for more. What I yearn for is maybe better meals, better home, better friends, but all limited to the worldly. What it means that we are not expecting the meeting with God, it means we are totally contented with this worldly life, our worldly activities, and nothing more. وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. That's what it means. Well, how can I live like this? As it says in somewhere else, they eat and live like animals. And it says, those are the heedless, al-ghafilun. That's what it means to live in ghafla. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. Paying no heed, no attention to our signs, to our ayat. So you see how all these three things come together, and this is good to know and understand why. Nothing to do with we can't judge the others, but I can use this to gauge my own life. If I find like few days, I'm just like living like that without any point of reference beyond that what is happening in my life is not taking me out of it. If I don't see the ayat in what's going on, that's it. Can you see that the first, second, and third part of the ayah are all related? What does it mean? If I don't see the ayat, if nothing happening in my life reminds me of anything, then I live my life content with my life. It has nothing more than this worldly life. And then even if I pray 5 times a day, even if I say I believe in Allah, I don't know who Allah is. So I don't have this yearning to meet him because I don't have this yearning. I'm not actively, consciously asking for eternity, for eternal happiness, and through my daily activities. And of course, if I'm doing that, my daily activities are going to also change. My priorities will change, my attitude will change. I could be doing the same thing, but definitely not in the same manner and not in the same state of being. And lots of things I may not be feel the need for anyways. And no one can tell until you get there. Now let's look for the believers.
I just wanted to highlight what you have just said, that you could be doing the same thing, but with a very different attitude. There is a point that a professor of, you know him, Michael Sells, professor of Arabic literature, mentioned regarding al-hayat al-dunya. You know, he says, you know, if in Arabic, if you were to say the life of the world, you would just say hayat al-dunya. But it said al-hayat al-dunya, so it's actually an adjective construct, which means more like literally lowly life. So there's a way of
lower,
yeah. So so then it's not really about, you know, living the world in the world or the life of this world. It's more about living that life in a dani, like in a lowly way, and not connecting with being satisfied, you know, with it, with that way of looking and living, looking at life and living life, and being satisfied with transience. Really, that immediately connected back to the text. For a moment, I'll switch here to the text we're reading, because when the Prophet is asking for liqa Allah, for the meeting with God, it's like a thirst, it's like a need. Later on in the text, it says this is a need that the Prophet is expressing. I need this, which means I am not full, I am not satisfied, I'm still thirsty. This world is like a foretaste, like, you know, it doesn't satisfy me. I need you. I am in need of finding you. so it perfectly fits. I mean, it's incredible how when we read the text, it doesn't directly seem to be about the Quran sometimes, but it's actually very directly related to a key concept in the Quran, liqa Allah, and being satisfied with transient life versus not being transient, not being satisfied. So it really breaks also the kind of cliches that we think about religion, or we think that, religion tells us to be content and accept everything, and that's that. And yet, in one way, in a particular context, that's true, to surrender. But in another context, actually, religion is what truly makes us authentic religion, authentic message, is what makes us truly free as human, that we have this concern and yearning for more. And that's in us, that's very human. And the Quran allows us to be that, and actually encourages us to kind of really expand ourselves and say, you know what, whatever it is, this world, nice, neat, cool, but I want more, because it's passing, and I need more. And it's not enough to just live and die. And there are passages in the Quran that people are quoted as saying, the opponents of the Quran, of the revelation, they saying, we live and we die, that's that. And the Quran is saying, how come you are satisfied and fulfilled? So just it's so important, because again, as we said last time, it isn't about that religion is making up a problem of paradise and hell and then giving us a solution. No, authentic religion or authentic revelation is actually opening up what's already embedded in us. And the opposite of it, turning away from it, is telling us to settle for less, to be okay with everything passing and being meaningless and absurd, and to be okay, as it were, to be in the pain of being limited, everything's out of our control, and just be okay with it and move on. Like, actually, the rejection of revelation, true revelation, is itself limiting, and is itself asking us to settle for less. I don't know, I'm personally finding this very, very helpful to recognize, because sometimes it appears to the nafs, to the ego, as if it's the other way around, as if the rejection of religion gives you freedom, or rejection of religion expands you as a human being. It's the other
rejection of ego's understanding of religion, because that's usually what it's like repeating.
Yeah,
parroting without really understanding. What we say is correct, but the way we understand it is totally has no organic connection with any reality. So it remains suspended, like in our awareness. It doesn't make sense. And so when we reject that, we are not rejecting the reality. We're rejecting our illusion of what religion is.
Exactly. Yeah. True.
And the point here, the key point here, is at the end, where it ties everything with وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. So they are heedless of our signs, our ayat, our messages to them, because the message is all the time coming and confirming the message of the Quran. That's why religion is about reality. This is something very unique to the message of the Quran. It's centered in the testimony of the creation. And so if we take a positive one, you will see again, that's why this...
when you said ayatina, it also again ties really well to the text that we just read, because ayatina, how things are signs pointing to beyond themselves to the eternal one. And in the text we have just read, it mentioned liqa, And then it mentioned beautiful names of God, which is manifest in the mirrors of being. So looking at the created beings, the world, as mirror to the beautiful qualities like power and beauty and wisdom, is to read them as signs, ayat. And so the Prophet is the example of that, reading the world as a mirror to these beautiful names.
That's the key in the 13th droplet. If we miss that, everything will remain. It's like you may have all the system, the electrical system in your home, but somewhere there is no connection. It's not connected to anything outside. So there's no light in the room, in the house. Nothing works. And after a while, we say like, oh, I don't understand why there are all these wires, but it doesn't work for me. And it's correct because I didn't connect them. So the connection, the connector here is the beautiful names of God. And that's the only way to connect, to have access to that. When we talked about al-Malakut in the 33 windows, and we learned how to see how things are mirroring the beautiful names of God. That is interacting with everything, perceiving everything, experiencing the world as ayat. And we do that. What we learned in the 33 windows, at least the 31st windows, was all to do with the outer world. And then in order for that reasoning, that perception to become internalized, is to apply it to the I. If you remember, one of the last or two of the last ones were about human being himself. Because if there is still I holding onto the ego, then that will remain as information and it will not bring the light of Iman, the light of surrender. And we won't experience the world as signs, everything mirroring the beautiful names of God everywhere. So there is work to be done internally as well in order to really connect. Otherwise, it will remain, we're talking about it, we're not living it. So the ayat is key, because without that, we won't understand what everything is saying. And what they are saying, what they are proclaiming, is that the reality of Tawheed, which is the reality of the beautiful names of God. Because when we say, La ilaha illallah, we are saying, La khaliqa illallah, La mu'ina illallah. There is no deity, nothing worth worshipping except God, means there is no creator, no maker except him. There is no helper except him. There is no one in control except him. There is no source of power or source of life except him. And we can apply it to all the attributes that we observe in the universe. So if you look at Surat Ra'd, Surah 13, which is a surah that we studied together some time ago. And it's in ayah 2, but it's good to see it from the first ayah. So we are told, Alif Lam Mim Ra, these are the ayat, the signs, the messages of the scripture, of the kitab, of the book. What your sustainer has sent down to you is the truth, yet most people do not believe. And the next one, it is God who has raised the heavens. Look, this is I love this about the Quran. Subhanallah. Whenever it's talking about the Quran, right after it starts talking about how God creates everything. It's talking about Akhirah, right then the evidence is in the creation. It's talking about God being all-knowing, all-wise, or whatever the names, right after it starts talking about the creation, because that's the witness, that's the testimony. They are testifying to that. That's where the ayat are. And so he says, it is God who has raised the heavens without any support that you could see, and established on the throne of his almightiness. And he it is who has made the sun and the moon subservient to his laws, each running its course for a term set. He governs all that exists. Clearly, he spells out these ayat. It means he details these signs, these messages, so that you might be certain لعلكم بلقاء ربكم توقنون, so that you have certainty about meeting, so that you may be certain of meeting your sustainer, your Rabb. Again, so he is, what are the message, the ayat he is giving in details here, right? In this ayah, he's talking about how God creates this and does this and does this. And he's doing all this. He's making the ayat, the signs clear to you, so that you may have certainty, because we need to be certain here and now. After we die, it's too late. We have to be certain of meeting God, because we see the face of God everywhere. So now we are waiting and longing actually for that day of the meeting with God. You can go to the third ayah, and you will see it is again, if I remember correctly, it's again talking about how God creates this and that. The ayat, that's the ayat, that's the signs, the message, the signpost, the message bearing everything, the beings, the mirrors to the beautiful names, to his power, to his knowledge, to his wisdom. You see, it is he who has spread the earth wide and placed on it firm mountains and running waters, and created thereon two genders of every kind of plants. And it is he who causes the night to cover the day. Truly, in all these are ayat. Inna fi dhalika laayatin liqawmin yatafakkarun. This is repeated so many times in the Quran. It means it's very important. Truly, in this there are signs for people who reflect. Yatafakkarun is not think, but more reflect. Yufakkirun is think. So you see the ayat here are in the creation. Of course, it's the ayah of the Quran referring to the ayah in the creation. And the ayah in the Quran will not make sense if it was not and we could not understand it and come back and confirm its truthfulness if it were not based on something that is happening here and now. So this sentence is key, and he's asking with all the sacred divine names whose beauty and decrees are manifest in the mirrors of being. So if we are going to ask for paradise, we start there with the divine names in manifested, reflected in the mirrors of beings. That's what it means that beings are, or events and everything, all activities in the creations are ayat, they are signposts. That's how we will ask for paradise. That's how we will ask for eternity, for eternal happiness. That's how we'll ask and long for meeting God, because we will realize that with God is all what we love and yearn for and long for and need. That's what it means to worship God, to adore God, to love God. Indeed, even if what he's asking for was not already required by the mercy, the grace, the wisdom, justice, and so on, it means all the beautiful names observed in the creation, a single of that person, of the prophet and his followers, those who follow in that path of Ubudiyya, a single of those prayers would have been sufficient for the construction of paradise. Even, I mean, of course it's not, because everything requires it. But if there were no one praying like the Prophet ﷺ did, or the prophets did, if there were no one who said, yes, this is the reality and I do need it and I want it, then whether it's created or not, it would make no difference, because no one is seeking it and needing it, and would have been sufficient for the construction of paradise, the creation of which is as easy for divine power as the creation of spring. This is also important because it's the power of be and it is. So it's not like, oh, eternal happiness, paradise, this is like big, who am I, who are that? It means I don't understand who I am. Because if I am a little Rab who creates things and knows things, then yes, I'm a tiny, limited little thing. But if I'm a abd, then I am a abd of the eternal one, the one who just say be and it is. So there is no limitation. One prayer. Why? Because that prayer, I am not praying it from my own. Like I wanted something. I saw my neighbor has a red chair. I want the same red chair, like a child. So maybe it won't happen. This is not like that. This is something I found in me. I am created with the need and the longing and the yearning for eternal happiness. And I say, oh, you gave me this. It means you must want to give it to me. You must have created it already. That's why I have no doubt about it. I don't want to die to check it out. I can confirm it here and now, because his mercy, his infinite mercy, his wisdom, his all the beautiful names that I am experiencing and witnessing here and now are testifying to this reality. Yes, just as his messengership, his Risale, was the reason for the opening of this place of examination. It means in this life, it is a life of trial. We learn through making mistakes and then understanding and then asking for forgiveness and then asking for help and then rejoicing and being grateful. It's a journey. It's a place of examination and trial, as we are told in the Quran. So too, his being a worshipful servant of God, his ubudiyya, is the reason for the opening of the next world. So his ubudiyya means the ubudiyya of human being, because he represents the best potential of human being. He's the one who lived his humanity to the best. And so anyone who follows in that path of ubudiyya will also, it will become like the reason for the opening of the next world, because the ubudiyya is organically linked to the eternal sacred names of God, the beautiful names of God. And it is the way we are created is organically related to, our purpose is related to the next world, to eternal life. Indeed, would the perfect order observed in the universe, we look around, it is a perfect order. All the sciences are testify, or they are testimony to the perfect order in the universe. All technology is a small testimony, because there are so many things that we don't know, and the world is so tiny in these huge galaxies there, and yet it's still, they are ayat, they are signs, indications, and mirrors. They're mirroring this perfect order, so intricate but so harmonious. Everything is interconnected in a very harmonious, orderly way, and in a wise way, in a way that is beneficial to life. Which caused scholars and the intelligent to pronounce it is not possible for there to be anything better than what exists. This is what Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah says in Ihya Ulum al-Din. ليس في الإمكان أبدع من مكان is a well-known phrase. And the faultless beauty, so the perfect order and the faultless beauty of art within mercy. So there is mercy, but together with mercy, everything is beautiful. Actually, all the names of God are beautiful. Beauty is not only the beauty of form or color or sound, it's beauty of meaning, beauty of compassion and mercy is beautiful, love is beautiful, justice is beautiful. And the incomparable beauty of sustainership, of rububiyyah, Jamal al-Rububiyyah, allow the ugliness, the cruelty, the contradiction by hearing, let me say it this way, it means the perfect order observed in the universe and the faultless beauty, the beauty of art within mercy and all that they all testify that the maker and the sustainer all hears and responds to the least significant and the least important desires and voices. Remember in the last week, it was like even the stomach, just for nourishment, yet there are all kinds of food with different color, tastes, smells, all kinds of, just for nourishing the body. It could have been created like when we are babies, one food, but because it's not just for nourishing the body, but it's also for getting to know God and to fulfill the purpose of who we are, this limitless potential for this limitless eternal life, eternal happiness. And so is it possible, he was saying in the 12th droplet, that he would not hear human beings' most important need, which is the yearning for eternity, in the eternity of everything that we care for and care about. And on top of that, it's not any human being, but it's the human being that fulfilled all the potential. It means fulfilled the purpose of creation. God himself is the one who gave that to us. And as Imam Nursi says, had he not wanted to fulfill and answer the need, he wouldn't have given the need. There was no point in giving the needs. Since he gave the need itself is the warranty and the evidence that whoever gave the need is the one who is fulfilling it. He gave us hunger and he created all kinds of food. If he gave us eyes to see, sight, he gave us sight, and he gave us so many things to look at. If he gave us hunger for eternity, then it means he will definitely create paradise, as everything testifies to. So he says, and so he responds, he hears and responds the least significant and the least important desires and voices. Is it possible that this all-wise, all-merciful maker, sustainer would consider the most important, the most necessary wish as unimportant? And is it possible that he would not hear these important needs or understand them and not carry them out, not fulfill them? And he says, of course, it's impossible. He takes care of the need of small insects, small little things, and creates them with, like, if something lives in the water, that bird has a long beak, so it can, and long legs, or whatever, legs, feet to either swim, or long legs so they can walk in water and fish, catch the rizq, their sustenance. And he says such beauty, the beauty of rububiyyah, the beauty of sustainership, the beauty of mercy, the beauty of order, the beauty of harmony, the beauty of all the things we observe in the world, in the universe, cannot, or like, are the evidence that this is impossible. Why? Because otherwise, everything, beauty would turn into ugliness, and mercy would turn into cruelty. And so, but there is no evidence why it would turn into ugliness. So since we see beauty, then it means this beauty has, the source of this beauty is eternal, and it means that it will manifest again in an eternal realm. Because if there is no eternity, all the beauty we see in this world will become ugly. Not only ugly, but cruel. The more beautiful things are, the more cruel it is that they all disappear. This is very, very important, and we've seen something like this in the 12th droplet, and there he also had given reference to the 10th word, which is about akhirah, and it's very important. It's like, I don't know what kind of example. Let's say there is this family, and they're dreaming about having this house, and every one of the children, one likes gardening and says, oh, in our house, let's say, inshallah, we will have like a garden, so I can garden. The other one wants a large room. The other one wants this and that, and they are just having fun together. And the father is very loving and doting and kind and wise. And one day, let's say someone calls the family and says, this is your dream house that your father built for you according to your wishes. And they go in, and it's exactly as they were dreaming of. So they are so happy and very excited. And a few weeks while they're still excited, the person who brought them there, they say, okay, out, and the house is destroyed. From physically, someone can say they didn't have a house before. They got to experience it for a few weeks, and now they lost a house that was not theirs from the beginning. Is this correct?
It's painful.
It's very painful. It's heartbreaking. It's
and they're not going to say, well, we had fun 3 weeks.
No, actually, it's like, it's better if we never had been into the house. Plus, now, what does it make of the father? Like, if cruel, ruthless, like even like psycho, this person is mad, why would you build a house and then destroy it? Right? So if, let's say, if the kids they never knew their father, they just heard they have a father and they were called, they will say, oh my God, like what kind of father we had. It's good that we never knew him. But if they lived with the father, it means if they know the father as a loving, kind, wise father, they will say, this is not our father. Who is this? Who is the, it's like a bad joke, prank, what kind of thing is going on? But definitely it can't be our father, because this is really cruel. But you say, but you were sitting, someone gave you like a few weeks for free. No, but emotionally, psychologically, all kinds of, it's very, very disturbing. It's very, very, so you see now that, that happiness of when they first entered the house, and they felt like, oh, whoever built let's say they think it's the father who gifted them the house, they feel the care and they feel cared for and loved, and everything is transformed into, how cruel is this? And some people may start hating that experience, and lots of people may feel that they are traumatized now and they won't forget it all their life. So we think we don't pause and reflect on what we are saying when we talk about akhirah, because akhirah is not a reality, a grounding reality, until we know who God is. The more we know him, the more the heart is made to love, a caring, sustaining, loving, kind, generous God. The heart will love. This is the ubudiyah will start. Then thanking him, prostrating before him will be a joy. Expressing gratitude will be a joy. Finding how everything is reminding of us and glorifying his name, proclaiming his name, talking about him, it becomes a joy. So akhirah and eternity becomes a reality. Knowing God is a reality. And so we will understand what it means now, that what we experience now, someone comes and says, no, you are making it up, or I'm not making it up, this is a reality. And you can't tell me, how about if there is no akhirah? Or maybe I hope there is akhirah. Or someone says, no, there is nothing, I only believe what I see. The more I only believe what I see is totally groundless, because in this example that I gave for the house, we don't see the feelings and everything. So, okay, what we see is you got free few weeks off your dream house. You should be very grateful, but that's not how it works. Because we are not only physical beings, we are more emotional, spiritual beings. And so this akhirah is very important, because here and now it changes how we experience the world, how we either take joy or not of the world, how we experience the meaning or not of the world. Here and now, it's going to make a huge difference, like black and white. Transience because suddenly the mirror to eternity, eternal beauty, eternal mercy. So confirming, experiencing the beautiful names of God here and now, knowing God, loving God, is going to, and therefore having certainty in eternity, in akhirah, in this beautiful akhirah, this paradise, this place of all-encompassing rahmah, all the beautiful names of God, makes a difference here and now. If not, then we're just deluding ourselves. If not, everything that is transient, actually it is ugly. We say it's beautiful, but deep down, we know that it is ugly. It is cruel. But we don't want to see that side. And what we do, we delude ourselves. That's why we close our eyes to the reality of transience. When we do that, that's the gist of ghafla. We cannot see the ayat, and we cannot see the face of God. We cannot know who God is. We cannot truly connect to akhirah, to anything. And why that happens, that we talked about a lot, and it's always at the beginning. One is arrogant, one has humility. One is willing to accept the reality that we are being sustained, we are being made life is being breathed into me, it's not mine. And the other one says, I know it's being breathed, but I'm going to live as though it's my life. I am going to decide what to do with my life. That's the arrogance. That's the more I say my life and I do and I want and all those wants and things are based on the false assumptions about who I am and what life is and what life is about and what I need to be happy and what happiness is and what I need to be happy. All are based on things that I never question. And when we are in that state, we don't want to question. And if anyone, which the prophets do, and in this case, the messenger invites us to question, we say, no. You know, the 5 prayers and the fasting, I will do all that, but like don't interfere in my life. If it feels like that, then we miss everything. That's why we need to pause and question ourselves very often. Otherwise, we're just deluding ourselves. So where are we now? Now come, are we there?
And so my imaginary
friend, this is enough for now. We must return. For even if we remain 100 years in this age in the Arabian Peninsula in the time of the Prophet, we would not comprehend 1% of that person's wondrous accomplishments and wonderful duties, nor would we tire of watching him, because what we usually learn in the seerah and this and that is just the tip of the iceberg. The meaning of what he was doing and all that is something that is a lifetime journey, and it's something that we learn together with reflecting and living the guidance of the Quran, inshallah. Now come, as we journey forward in history, we will look at each century after him, see how each has opened like a flower through the effulgence it has received from the sun of guidance. So we're looking at the fruits of the tree. These flowers, this fruit, they have produced millions. This guidance that this messenger is bringing produced millions of enlightened fruits, like Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa died in 765, so you get an idea, 8th century. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, died in 820. Abu al-Bayazid al-Bistami rahimahullah died in 874. Shah Abdul Qadir al-Jilani died 1166 rahimahullah. Shah Naqshband al-Bukhari from Bukhara died in 1389 rahimahullah. Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah died in 1111. Imam al-Ghazali is always easy to remember because it's 1111. And Imam Rabbani, which is he's known as Imam Rabbani, but also as Ahmad al-Faruqi Sirhindi from Sirhind in India, rahimahullah, died in 1624. Different centuries. You will find more, but just few that are well known. Millions of enlightened human beings, because they follow this enlightened path. Postponing the details of our observations to another time, we must recite some benedictions, some salawat on that displayer of miracles. The Prophet ﷺ is usually not known as with the miracles, although we talked about it before, and there is the book on the miracles of the Prophet by Qadi Abu Iyad, and there is a Risale about the miracles of Muhammad. Usually there is no emphasis on the miracles that he displayed, so that the focus remains on the message of the Quran, because people can easily get distracted. So the benediction of the display of miracles and bringer of guidance, which mentions a number of his certain miracles. So he's making salawat by mentioning also some of his well-known miracles. And this peace and blessings be upon our master, he is Sayyidina Muhammad, to the number of the good deeds of his community, to whom was revealed the all-wise criterion of truth, which is the name of the Quran, and falsehood, Al-Furqan, Al-Hakim, of his, from one most merciful, most compassionate, from the sublime throne, whose messengership was foretold by the Torah and the Bible, and told by wondrous signs and the voices of jinn and saints of men and soothsayers. They all prophesied his birth and his messengership, and whose indication the moon, at whose indication the moon split. This is one famous miracle that is also mentioned in the Quran. Our Master Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, thousands and thousands of times, to the number of the breaths of his community, at whose beckoning came the tree. And all these ones, you can find them in the Risale-i Nur on the miracles of Muhammad, and he gives references to Qadi Abu Iyad. Came the tree on whose prayer rain swiftly fell, and whom the cloud shaded from the heat, who satisfied 100 men with his food, between whose fingers 3 times flowed water like the spring of Kawthar, and to whom God made speak the lizard, the gazelle, the wolf, the torso, the arm, the camel, the mountain, the rock, and the clod, meaning soil or clay, the one who made the ascension, al-Mi'raj, al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, and whose eye did not waver. This is from the Quran, مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى. Our master and intercessor, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, thousands and thousands of times, to the number of the letters of the Quran formed in the words represented with the permission of the most merciful in the mirrors of the airwaves, at the reciting of all the Quran's words by all reciters from when it was first revealed to the end of time, and grant us forgiveness and have mercy on us, O God, for each of those blessings. Amen. على من أنزل عليه الفرقان الحكيم من الرحمن الرحيم من العرش العظيم سيدنا محمد ألف صلاة وألف سلام بعدد حسنات أمته، على من بشر برسالته التوراة والإنجيل والزبور، وبشر بنبوته الإرهاصات وهواتف الجن وأولياء الإنس وكواهن البشر، وانشق بإشارته القمر، سيدنا محمد ألف صلاة وسلام بعدد أنفاس أمته، على من جاءت لدعوته الشجر ونزل سرعة بدعائه المطر، وأظلته الغمامة من الحر، وشبع من صاع من طعامه 100 من البشر، ونبع الماء من بين أصابعه 3 مرات كالكوثر، وأنطق الله له الضب والظبي والجذع والزراع والجمل والجبل والحجر والمدر، صاحب المعراج وما زاغ البصر سيدنا وشفيعنا محمد ألف صلاة وسلام بعدد كل الحروف المتشكلة في الكلمات المتمثلة بإذن الرحمن في مرايا تموجات الهواء عند قراءة كل كلمة من القرآن من كل قارئ من أول النزول إلى آخر الزمان واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا إلهنا بكل صلاة منها آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. And now I have described the evidences. Now these are only okay. I think we may read or may not read. You can read it on your own. He's saying where to find all these things in the Risale. And also, like the Quran is also a main miracle. The Quran is a miracle and it indicated 40 aspects of its miraculousness. The original is written in Arabic, Isharatul I'jaz, signs of miraculousness. Isharatul I'jaz fi madan al-Ijaz. So he's giving reference that he wrote about the miracles of Muhammad in the 19th letter and the miraculousness of the Quran, Balaghat al-Quran in the 25th word, and the signs of the language, the miraculousness of the language, how it's miraculously gives many meanings with the order of the words and everything, and the grammar and everything in Isharatul I'jaz, the signs of miraculousness. Inshallah. So, bi'idhnillah, inshallah, next week will be our last meeting before Ramadan. And inshallah, in Ramadan, if Allah wills, we will have different. We don't know what we will.
Guest speakers, inshallah.
The guest speakers will present to us, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. This prayer is saying, O God, make show us truth as truth and make it easy for us to follow it, and show us falsehood as falsehood and make it easy to stay away from it. Walhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Inshallah, may we be of those who ask for forgiveness constantly and remember God and his endless blessings and offer deep conscious gratitude constantly, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Yamina, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and inshallah we'll meet next week. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Dr. Yamina, and everyone. Jazakallah khair.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Sarah. Thank you. If no one is adding anything, we'll stop here. May Allah be with all of us, inshallah. Fi amanillah.
Fi amanillah. Fi amanillah. Inshallah.